Hi guys, welcome to this video. So this is going to be the video that covers chapter 12. If you watch my previous videos, I like to work off of the worksheet from your book. So this is on page 297. And we're going to go ahead and get started here. Let me just maybe change my pen color. Let's go with blue. Okay. So the licensed prescriber orders streptomycin 500 milligrams. How many milliliters will you give, right? So this is your order, and this is what you're looking for, right? So as I like to do, I'm going to start with my XML. That's the milliliters that I'm looking for. In this case, I have to look at my label to figure out what my dosage concentration is. So it's right here, right? So I'm going to actually use the one in parentheses, right? So it says that 1 milliliter is equal to 400 milligrams. That's the one that I'm going to use. Okay. And then I'm going to multiply by my order. 500 order, right? So this becomes 500 divided by 400. And your answer should be 1.25, right? The question isn't asking me to round to anything, so I'm just going to leave it as 1.25. Okay. There is a different way to solve it. Let me just use a different color here. So I'm going to set it up the same way, milliliters, right? But here I can also use the 2.5 milligram over 1 gram, right? It's part of the label, right? But then I have to convert, which is an extra step, which is why I did the blue one first, right? But just so you guys can see all the different ways, I'm going to do it this way as well, okay? So 2.5, let's just say milliliters. 2.5 milliliters, right, in 1 gram. But my question is in milligrams, right? So I have to convert. Well, I know from my conversion sheet that 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams, right? And so now that I've done that, I can write that my order is 500 milligrams, right? Because that's how I will get everything to cancel out. Milligrams will cancel out, grams will cancel out, leaving me with my milliliters for the order, right? So this becomes 2.5 times 500, and you have to divide by 1,000. And you still get the 1.25. I'm just going to write it right there, 1.25. Okay. So, just an extra step, which is why I usually prefer to look for the smaller dosage on the label if it's available to me, because then I can just do the blue one that takes one less step. Okay. All right, number 2. Let me go back to my blue color. So we have an order for digoxin 110 micrograms. How many milliliters are we going to give? So XML, right? I'm looking at our label and I'm seeing that there's 2 milliliters that hold 500 micrograms, right? We're very small here, right? This says that there's 250 micrograms in 1 milliliter. But I'll just stick with the big numbers. So we're going to multiply by my order, which was 110. Right. So 2 times 110, and then divide by 500. And I get 0.44. Right. Again, the question is not asking me to round anything, so I'm just going to leave it as 0.44. Okay. If you want to fill in these syringes, that's fine, but it's so blurry on my view here that I'm just going to leave them. Okay. Number 3, you have an order for 0.3 milligrams. How many milliliters are you going to give, right? Looking at my label right here, 1 milliliter is 0.4 milligrams. So I'm going to use that to set up my problem, right? If I'm looking for milliliters, I have to start with XML. From the label, I know that there's 0.4 milligrams in 1 milliliter. Ooh, that's a little wonky. Let's try that again. Oh my gosh. Right? So then 0.3 divided by 0.4 should give you 0.75. Again, question didn't ask me to round, so I'm not going to round. Okay? Because on this syringe, technically you could get 0.75. That's why none of these questions so far have asked us to round. Because using a small enough syringe, you could get that hundredths place. Okay. Number 4, you have an order for Compazine for 10 milligrams. How many milliliters are you going to give? XML. Looking at my label right up here in the pink area, it's telling me that 1 milliliter is equal to 5 milligrams. So I'm going to use that. And then 10 milligram is my order. All right. So then this becomes 10 divided by 5, which is 2. 2 milliliters, okay? Next one, you have an order for ranitidine or Zantac, is the brand name right here, 50 milligrams. How many milliliters are you going to give? Right. Looking at my label down here, again in the pink or purple, it's telling me that 1 milliliter is equal to 25 milligrams, excuse me. Your order is 50. Right. So 50 divided by 25 is going to give you 2 milliliters. Okay. Number 6. You have an order for piperacetin, 3 grams. Right. Your piperacetin comes as 1 gram in 2.5 milliliters. How many milliliters are you going to give? Right. So XML. Right. 2.5 is equal to 1 gram. And you have to give 3 grams. Right. So this is 2.5 times 3. Which should give you 7.5 milliliters as your answer. All right. Let's keep going. Number 7, your order is morphine 5 milligrams. How many milliliters are you going to give? Right here on the label, it's telling you that 1 milliliter is 10 milligrams. So we're going to use that. XML. From the label, 1 milliliter is 10 milligrams. And then 5 milligrams is our order. Right? So 5 divided by 10 is going to give you 0.5 milliliters. Okay? Number 8, your order is 4 milligrams of diazepam, right? You're looking again for how many milliliters. Again, this label gives you 2 options, right? So you could use the one in the red box, 10 milligrams over 2, or the one right next to it that says 5 milligrams over 1, right? I usually prefer the simpler one because there's less math involved. So I'm going to do XML. One milliliter is 5 milligrams. 4 milligram is my order. Right? So this becomes 4 divided by 5. 0.8 as your final answer. And let me switch back to a different color. We'll do the same thing, just using the dosage in the red box on the label. 2 milliliters, 10 milligrams. All right, so now you have to do 2 times 4 and divide it by 10. So 2 times 4 is 8, right? Divided by 10, you get 0.8 again. Okay? We'll keep going. I will switch back to my other color. All right. Number 9, so you need to give 30 milligrams of furosemide stat. How many milliliters are you going to give? Right here on the label are your dosages. Again, it gives you 2. So I'm going to work with the smaller one first, the one in parentheses. So X milliliter, right? 1 milliliter is 10 milligrams, right? And it's like right there. And then 30 milligrams is my order, right? So this becomes 30 divided by 10, which is 3. Okay. Switch to a different color. And I'll use the dosage in the big blue box on the label, right? So we have XML. $40 milliliters over 40 milligrams. My order is 30 milligrams. Right? So this becomes 4 times 30 divided by 40. And that should give you 3 milliliters. All right. Number 10. You have an order for Toradol, 15 milligrams. This is what you have available, right? Pre-filled syringes that have 30 milligrams in 1 milliliter. And your question is, how many milliliters are you going to give? I should switch back to my blue color. Okay. Right. So, XML, milliliter over 30 milligrams. And your order is 15. Right. 15 divided by 30 will give you 0.5. Yep. All right. I'm going to skip number 11 because I will not ask you that. Even I'm like, what the heck when I'm looking at it. All right, 12. You have to give aminophylline 100 milligrams. How many milliliters is that going to be? All right. Again, this labels gives you two options, so that you have the big blue box and then you have the tiny parentheses right below it. Okay. So let's start with the big blue box first, just because I can see it better. So 20 milliliters is 500 milligrams, right? 100 milligrams is your order. So 20 times 100, and then we divide that by 500. And I'm getting 4 milliliters as my answer. Okay. I think the lower one says there's 25 milligrams in a milliliter, so let's see. 1 milliliter, 25. Yeah, that makes sense. Order. So then 100 divided by 25 is going to give you 4. So 4 milliliters is the answer for this one. All right. Number 13. So you have an order for 350 milligrams of amphotericin B. You have a vial that has 100 milligrams in 20 milliliters. How many milliliters will you give? So, XML. Excuse me. 20 over 100 milligrams times 350. Order. Right. So 20 times 350 over 100. I get 70 as my answer. Okay. All right. Number 14, you have an order for Cipro, 300 milligrams. Right? How many milliliters will you prepare? Let's see. Let's look at our A label and figure out what our dosage here is. So this one's a little complicated, but right here is your answer. It's a single dose vial that has 40 milliliters of solution liquid in it, right? And that's equal to 400 milligrams of Cipro. That's how this label reads. So we have XML, and we're gonna write 40 milliliters is 400, right? And then 300 is our order. So 40 times 300, and then divide by 400. Let's see. I get 30 milliliters as my answer. Okay. Number 15. You have an order of Solucortef or hydrocortisone 0.05 grams, right? Be careful with the units here. How many milliliters will you administer, right? And so here, this label again, a little confusing. So you have 2 milliliters, which are equal to 250 milligrams, right? So I don't know how that happened. XML, right? I'm gonna write 2 milliliters over 250 milligrams. Because my question is in grams, I know I have to convert. And I'm just gonna do it within my dimensional analysis, right? So this is a milligram, so whatever I put next has to be milligrams. This is where I throw in my conversion. 1,000 milligrams is 1 gram. And then we will multiply 0.05 grams, which is our order. Okay. So then this becomes 2 times 1,000 times 0.05, and then all of that will divide into 250. Right, so let's see what that is. 2 times 1,000 times 0.05. Okay. All right, so my final answer is 0.4 milliliters. Okay. If you want to convert separately, that's fine. But you have to pick which one you're going to convert. You're either going to do 0.05 grams into milligrams, or you're going to do 250 milligrams into grams, right? Depending on which one you choose, then you go from there, right? Make sure your units are consistent. Okay. Number 16. You have an order for naloxone, Narcan, for 0.6 milligrams. How many milliliters will you administer, right? So your order, and then how many milliliters. This label right here in the purple box gives you 2 options. It gives you the 400 micrograms per milliliter, but in parentheses, it gives you the 0.4 milligrams per milliliter. That's what I'm going to use because I don't want to do all the conversions that I literally just did for the previous problem, right? So I want to keep it simple. I want to work with the same units. So I'm going to do XML, and I'm writing milliliter is equal to 0.4 milligrams. And then I multiply by my order, to figure out how many milliliters I'm gonna give. Right, so 0.6 divided by 0.4 is 1.5. Right, that's it. You're done. Okay. Number 17. You have an order for Tagamet 300. Right, how many milliliters will you prepare? If you read the label, it's right here in the label, the answer. The answer is 2 milliliters, right? And you're done. There's not even any math to do here. Okay? All right, number 18. You have an order for Duramorph, 6 milligrams. Right? How many milliliters are you going to give? Again, the label gives you two options of how to, solve this problem. Pick the dosage that you prefer. Again, I'm going to go with the smaller one there in the parentheses because there's less math for me to do. So X ml. One milliliter is equal to 1 milligram. Times 6 milligrams is my order. Right, so 6 divided by 1 is 6. Right, so 6 milliliters is how much we're gonna give this patient to give them their 6 milligrams that were ordered. Okay. All right, number 19. So loxapine 25 is ordered. This is what you have available. All right, 50 milligrams in a milliliter. And how many milliliters will you give? If you're a math whiz, you know that the answer is 0.5. But let's math it out. Right, XML. Right, 1 milliliter is equal to 50. Order. Right, 25 divided by 50 is going to give you that 0.5. Okay. All right. You have an order for Ativan 1 milligram stat. How many milliliters are you going to give? Right. You have right here 4 milligrams per milliliter. That's your dosage. So set it up as we have been. Right. So 0.25. Okay. Number 21, you have an order for 10 milligrams of Presaline. It comes in 1 milliliter ampules that have 20 milligrams. How many milliliters are you going to give, right? XML, right? Milliliter over 20. And divided by 20 is going to give you 0.5. Right? All right, number 22, you have an order for Amikan 400. It comes in a 2 milliliter vial that equals to 500. How many milliliters will you administer? Right, XML. Right. I get 1.6 as my answer. Number 23. You have an order for 7.5 milligrams of diazepam, right? How many milliliters are you going to give? Right, this is just coming from my label right here. Right, so 7.5 divided by 5. And I get 1.5 as my answer. Okay. All right, let's see. Number 24. There's an order for codeine 15 milligrams. How many milliliters will the nurse administer, right? So if you're looking at the label very carefully, there's this section down here that basically gives the answer away because it's telling you that 0.5 milliliters is equal to 15 milligrams, right? So if you read that part, you don't even have to do any math, right? This right here in the label is telling you that there's 30 milligrams in 1 milliliter, right? So if you did want to do the math, this is what it will look like. Right, 15 divided by 30 is going to give you that 0.5. Okay? All right. Number 25. So you have an order for aquamethicone, 0.01 gram, right? How many milliliters are you going to give? Right, milliliters, right? So looking at this label right here, right, it's 10 milligrams per milliliter, right? So again, I'll have to do some converting, right? I'm going to start as I do, XML, right? Then I have to put in my conversion. Okay. So this is going to be 1,000 times 0.01 and then divide by 10. Let's see. Okay. So all of that for us to get 1 milliliter as the answer. Okay. Okay, number 26. So we've had this label before, right? It's a single dose vial that contains 40 mils of solution, right? And it's equal to 400 milligrams of Cipro, right? This question hates us because it's asking for things in grams against 0.2 grams, right? And we have to figure out how many milliliters that is. Okay. So XML, right, I'm going to write that 40 milliliters is 400 milligrams, right? I got that from my label. I have to put in that conversion again in here. And then finish off with my order, right? So I'm just going to write it down here. We have 40 times 1,000 times 0.2, and all of that will get divided by 400. Let's see what we get. All right, I got 20 milliliters out of that. Okay. All right, number 27. Okay, that's not our last one. So, 27, you have an order for 6 milligrams of morphine, right? 6 milligrams. And how many milliliters are you going to give, right? So this one's pretty easy. XML. Right here in the label is my dosage, so I know that 1 milliliter is 15 milligrams. And I'm going to multiply by my order. Right. So 6 divided by 15. I get 0.4 as my answer. Okay. Okay, and I think this is our last page, yep. Okay. So number 28, Benadryl. Your order is 100 milligrams, right? How many milliliters you're gonna give? If you're a math whiz, you're gonna look at the label, be like, oh, I have to give 2 milliliters. You'll be correct. 2 milliliters is our ultimate answer. This is what I need to solve it. All right. 100 divided by 50 is gonna give you that too. Okay. All right, back to that digoxin. So now we have an order for 100 micrograms, right? And using the same label, right, we can either do the 500 in 2 or the 250 in 1, right? Kind of your choice. XML, right? I usually prefer to do the smaller one because there's less math involved. 250. What's 100 divided by 250? 0.4. Okay. All right. And then last but not least, we're going back to the Amikin. Let's see, now we have an order for 700, right? Again, how many milliliters are we gonna give? So XML, right? This right here in the blue is telling me there's 502, so I'm gonna write 2 milliliters, 500, right? And we multiply by my order. Okay. So 2 times 700 and then divide by 500. I get 2.8 as my answer. All right. And that is it for number 30. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.